Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Functional Medicine with me, Dr. Howard Robbins. This is a very interesting show that I'm going to be giving you today on Ebola. So this is a story, and I think you'll find it somewhat interesting if you want to take the time to listen. It all began in 2014. I got a call from one of my closest friends in life, Dr. Robert Rowan, who does ozone therapy out in California, although now Robert is retired from active practice and not from ozone. And he called me up and said it was July of 2014. There's a big outbreak of Ebola right now in West Africa, particularly in Sierra Leone, Nigeria. Would you want to go there and do something about it with ozone therapy? And I said, are you out of your mind? And I hung up on, and before I could hang up on him, he said, well, then I'm going to go without you, use your method of ozone therapy to treat it and get all the credit. And I hung up on him. As fast as I could press resend on my cell phone, I called him back and went, if you think you're going to go and get all the fame and glory about treating it without me using my method, you're out of your mind. Then in September of that year, we met in a medical meeting that we were lecturing at in Cuba, and we were walking down the promenade in Havana, and we laid our plans down about how to make this happen in West Africa. Using my Rotary connections, because I'm an active Rotarian, past president and whatnot. We contacted Rotarians in both Nigeria and in Sierra Leone, and we were able to make connections predominantly where it was really bad in Sierra Leone. Tens of thousands of people were coming down with it, and the death rate was almost 90%. So we're talking about tens of thousands of people dying. Well, in any case, to make that part of the story short, we got an invitation from the president of Sierra Leone, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, to come and train doctors to treat Ebola. Interestingly enough, we made certain that we wouldn't have to take a yellow fever vaccination because we're anti-vaccine, both of us. In any case, in October of 2014, we had put the call out to the ozone world. We had gotten thousands, almost $45,000 worth of donations to pay for the materials that we might want to bring along with us. We got ozone machines donated by ozone manufacturers. It was quite the thing. And we arrived there on a Friday in 2014, a Friday evening at about 12:30 at night. The military met us in Sierra Leone to make sure that we were taken care of. President had sent the military down to help us. And Doctors Without Borders were kept waiting until we cleared everything with them. And then we went with the doctor that we were going to work with in Sierra Leone to his home. And we made phone calls home. It was about 3:30 in the morning when we finally got there. And then we took a few hours of sleep. And then we went and started training doctors on Saturday morning. Saturday and Sunday, we spent lecturing and training doctors. On Monday, we began teaching them how to do it, the direct IV method. And why the direct IV method? Because it's the safest method when you're dealing with a virus that's so contagious. The Ebola virus, no matter which version of it is transmitted by sweat, spit, and blood. So it's very easy to transmit if a person has it and he or she starts sweating. And so easily transmitted. And I immediately went on television Monday morning there. Dr. Rowan went a little bit later on a different show. And I'm not going to get involved in too much of the politics that went on, but that day we met with the president of the country. That night I treated him in his home. I went on radio there Tuesday morning and I was told I didn't know I wasn't allowed to tell people what a hero he was, that he allowed me to treat him in his home. In any case, that seemed to have caused some trouble, we found out later on. Now, Wednesday, I was ready to come home. We met with. I didn't know how long I was going to stay, so I planned a return trip pretty quickly. Um, we went to Rotary meeting that Wednesday night at the Radisson Hotel in Freetown, which is the capital of Sierra Leone, and we were known all around the country for having done what we did, and we were thought on as heroes and everything. And I left for home. The next day, Dr. Rowan, with permission. Now, we had a little bit of problem with the Minister of Health. I don't remember his name. And when we told it to the president on Tuesday morning, the Minister of Health was taken out as the head of Ebola in the country. And the Minister of Defense, I think it's Major or Colonel Paulo Conte was his name. And we met with him Wednesday afternoon, who said, "Get in there. Why aren't we in there yet?" So we were really happy about all this. And when I left, everything seemed very positive. On Thursday morning, Dr. Rowan and the other doctor that we were working with from the country arrived at their main Ebola center. And they were told after they got there, and everybody was excited to get it, but none of the 90 plus doctors that we had trained were there. A phone call came through from the Assistant Minister of Health saying, "You're not allowed to get ozone or do ozone. The minister is calling in a few minutes." The minister called and said, "If you get or do ozone, you are going to lose your job," because he no longer could control what was going to happen. So, but he did control them because they worked under him. So no Ebola was done at that time. In fact, they had to actually sneak in syringes filled with ozone and ice water to keep it, viable from a distance away. And 5 doctors were given the medicine. Ozone is medicine, the injections. After just 2 injections, their Ebola was gone. That's pretty amazing. So what happened? After all this has been going on, we were able to get the information eventually proving that all 5, with just 2 injections, had been successfully eliminating Ebola from their body. Their lives were saved. And because it was so important, we published in the African Journal of Infectious Disease in August of 2016. And you can look it up, Rowan, Rowen, and Robbins, African Journal of Infectious Disease, August of 2016. And you can get hold of our paper showing 100% success. And when you have 5 out of 5 like that, that's like doing an amazing study, research study, and it proves that the stuff did work. And that was the beginning of it all. And there's much more in politics, and why it was stopped being done had to do with Big Pharma learning that we were there, contacting WHO, that organization, World Health Organization, and telling them, if you allow this to happen, we're going to cut your funding. WHO contacted the Minister of Health, told him the same thing, and that's why he called and did what he did. This is the way Africa works. Now we move ahead currently. As of yesterday, though I'm gonna double check right now, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And as I am doing this, I'm going to get you the actual moment to the moment statistic. Right now, as of July 7, there's 1,561 confirmed cases of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with 506 confirmed deaths. That's a 32% death rate. where the one in Sierra Leone was closer to 90% death rate. 60 to 90% of the people that got it died. And the outbreak is still expanding according to the WHO. Now, having said that, Rowan called me up and said, we ought to do something. I said, well, all we can do is try. We had trouble before. We contacted ambassadors from the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda, where they had some cases spreading in there as well, and we got nowhere. I contacted the ambassador to the UN and met with an assistant minister or assistant to the ambassador at their mission to the UN here in Manhattan. And this was over a month ago now. And gave them all our paperwork showing how ozone works, showing our paper how it worked in Africa, et cetera, et cetera. And these are peer-reviewed studies. That means that when you publish something in a peer-reviewed medical journal, it goes through doctors who review it to see if the science is sound and that it's worthy of publication. So these are peer-reviewed publications. So in any case, I met there with his representative. Nothing happened. On the other side of the U.S., Dr. Rowan out in California, he was able to, through I don't know what connections for sure, contact the advisor to the President of the United States in Washington, D.C., he's an advisor on on the environment, who knows about ozone because it does affect the environment. And through his help, this past Sunday, just a few days ago on July 5th, Dr. Rowan called me up excited because he had just gotten off a Zoom call with the Minister of Health and I think it was Foreign Affairs from the DRC. And we are going to be getting an invite from the president of the country to come, and without a vaccine for yellow fever, because I won't do it then. Neither of us will go if we're forced to vaccinate. And we are going to go at our cost. And by the way, the first time we didn't take any of the donated money. We did it all at our own cost in terms of our travel and living expenses there. And we only used the money that people donated to buy supplies for the country as a true donation. We had all the money put into my Rotary clubs, the Central Nassau County Rotary Club's 501c3, and it was all controlled by them to make out the payments and everything. On the other side of the coin, now we have a different 501c3, Dr. Rowan, through this representative from the White House, and we're hoping to have everything organized through the White House and through these ministers in the DRC. And our plan is to go, because we have to get a lot of stuff in place, by the middle of August coming up here in 2026. There is some risk because Ebola spreads so easily. And we're going to be training health professionals who may or may not have been treating Ebola. So we don't know if they got it, but we have an advantage. We have ozone, and we're going to be bringing ozone generators. And this way we'll be able to, treat each other while we're there. Although I treat myself with a direct IV, and thus we felt at little to no risk. We're also coming up with a possible solution for prevention. Right now, they're using resdesmivir, which is an aclovir, as I call them. It's just one of those drugs they use with AIDS. They use it with a lot of viruses that maybe will minimize the effect if you get it, but doesn't really stop it or kill it. And it's also Um, they're using, IV, fluids for hydration. This is all they can really do. They're trying to come up with a vaccination that will work, but viruses mutate almost right away. So you can't come up with vaccines that are really going to work well against viruses that mutate so readily and are so deadly. And just so you should understand how Ebola works. So when the virus gets in you, it looks like they call it a snake virus, but it looks like almost the figure eight, almost like the infinity sign. And the entire outside of it is coated in these double bonds called tryptophan groups. And tryptophan, you've heard of tryptophan, but it's actually a sulfhydryl group. Okay, it's a sulfhydryl group. And these SH groups have a double bond. Ozone has a marked affinity for the double bond. So when it hits that double bond, it it can uh, punch holes in the outer protective layer of the virus, allowing ozone to get inside to the RNA, the nucleus of the virus, and deactivate it, inactivate the virus. And by inactivating it, the virus can't replicate. So eventually it just dies. And without replication, there's no more virus. So that and because it's so loaded with these these sulfhydryl groups, um, ozone has a marked affinity for that. It works apparently that fast and easy at eliminating it. What I've learned over the years is the deadlier the virus, the easier it is for ozone to destroy it, like with COVID. The less deadly the virus, the harder it is for ozone to win, meaning it just takes longer. That's all. It just takes longer. So far, I haven't found a virus that ozone can't destroy. And we've seen an awful lot of different viruses over the years. This is something I have been doing since 1990. This is our 36th year doing intravenous ozone, and we've done well over 430,000 treatments. Um, and with the direct IV method, over 385,000 of them treatments performed. That's more than any one clinic in the world, more than all the doctors in North America put together. Another wonderful benefit about the DIV method is all you need is a syringe and a butterfly needle, very fine um, butterfly needle. And so it costs virtually under $1 to do each treatment, making it extremely affordable. And the syringes can be reused, not the needles, but the syringes can be reused. So there's very little medical waste. And then which is also another way you might transmit something. Um, there's virtually little to no medical waste, making it very affordable and very easy. Um, um, so I'm not asking you to send money or anything. I have no place for you to send it to yet anyway, and I don't want the money sent to me, that's for sure, if you wanted to donate to this humanitarian effort. But I just wanted to make you aware of it, to tell people that you know about it, and to be aware that this may actually happen this time, since the White House is involved. So I'm waiting apprehensively to a great degree. I'm kind of in a little shock, um, and telling people all about it. If we have a cure for Ebola, and the world needs to know about it, and it's been suppressed by Big Pharma and WHO. If this proves to this time around, because the White House is involved, I believe the news media will make note of it. Now you know there's a cure not only for Ebola, but for COVID and for virtually any other virus that's out there. Listen to my shows on HIV. Listen to my shows on, I can't do a show on COVID. The YouTube will take it down. No COVID, no cancer, no vaccination shows. If you want to call me and if you have any questions about all this, or if you need ozone therapy, you're welcome to call my office in Manhattan at 212 581 0101. That's 212 581 0101. Or email me at ozone doctor, OZONEDOCTOR, ozone doctor ozonedoctor@yahoo.com. All spelled out one word, ozonedoctor@yahoo.com. Please subscribe to my channel. That would be a wonderful thing. It's free. There's plenty of good, I would think, wonderful podcasts from what people have been saying on there. You may not have a medical problem right now that I've already discussed, but if you do develop one, or someone you know and love, a family member or friend develops one, well, there you have the podcast to go to. That may be the answer, and to take action before it's too late. Everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well.